Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence. How are you? A big mahalo for tuning in. Today we are welcoming back our good buddy who has that voice that's just fun to listen to, whatever he's up to. It's always fun. The English beat, we call it here in the States. The beat, they call it back there in the motherland. And if you're from down under, they call it the British beat, don't you know? Recently they released the complete beat. There's a lot of beat in under a minute. It's a box set, all 3 original records, rare 12-inch and dub versions, non-album singles, all that kind of thing that makes you go out and get something. Tasty live sessions, too, included. And in addition to hearing about origins of some of their classic songs, we're also going to get a preview, I hope. We'll see if he's willing to share a little of it. The new General Public Best Of he said he's working on. We'll pump him for some of that. You know him from his distinctive original singing voice, makes songs like Mirror in the Bathroom, Save It for Later, I Confess, and many others essential listening. His onstage presence with that Vox teardrop guitar, almost as cool as his rich voice. I don't know what's cooler. It's a pleasure to welcome back the great Dave Wakeling. Aloha, mahalo, my brother.
Wow. So what could be better than that than me sitting listening to that? I started to like myself after that. I want to meet this guy. How you doing, sir?
I'm great. Yeah, man. Good to be chatting with you again. And I got inspired to do this because I heard you on the NPR. One day we were sitting here working and I heard you singing or talking. I don't know which came first, and I thought, whoa, what's Davey Boy doing? And
that was kind of you, man. I didn't know it was in Minneapolis.
When you were doing that?
Yeah, just a little while ago.
And what was that? That was strictly about this project, which I was going to hit you up for. Man, it looks cool. But a lot of the time when these box sets come out, it's one of these things where sometimes the band has little or nothing to do with it. Other times they have a lot to do with it. Where are you on your involvement, and how did the thing come to be, the complete beat?
The people at Shout Factory did a great job. They set up a way that you could be either as involved or as uninvolved as you fancied. And they did it so nicely that everybody had a pretty good say in it. And in doing so, everybody found out that they'd still got a heck of a lot of pride in the legacy that we'd left as the box set started to come together. And a couple of the guys working on it for Shout Factory had been fans in the day, and so they knew the songs that beatheads had been searching for all over the years. That included 12-inch dance tracks that had come out as 12-inch singles in the UK, and some radio sessions, some from before the band was signed, that had been on Radio 1, that there'd only really had been a few bootlegs of over here in the US. So they managed to incorporate all of that stuff so that it wasn't just a collection of the songs everybody already knew.
Right.
But it was everything everybody had ever asked for since.
And some of those didn't always come out in all the same countries, right? Some of the 12 inches and stuff would have been limited to certain markets.
Most of them only came out in the UK. It was just it was two accidents really that came to form them. One was that we always used to have a toasting section in our songs or a bit of dub or something. The record company would always get scared that would turn off the more commercial of the Radio 1 DJs. So they were always begging for a radio edit, that would take out the weird bits. And we would sort of argue back and forth, and they'd let us keep in as much of the weird bit as they thought the radio would tolerate. But as part of the deal, they said, well, they would pay for us to go to the B studio next door. Whilst they tried singles edits, we could go and play dub-wisers, go and do dub mixes in the back room. And so that was the deal, and it got us out the studio so as they could play their edits. And during the course of the evening, we'd keep drifting back into one or the other studio, and a deal was struck by the end of the session. And it turned out, in the English charts at the time at least, a 12-inch single of the same song, a remix of the same song, counted in the same general singles chart in the UK. So after the record, a 7-inch single had been out for a few weeks, or at that point where it was either going to go all the way or it was just about to lose steam, the record company would bring out a 12-inch remix of the single quite often, of course, the people who bought the 7-inch would now buy the 12-inch a month later. But both of those sales counted in the singles charts. So we got to get to make free dubs in the back room, and they got the 7-inch radio cut that they wanted. Plus, we ended up with this glorious collection of dance and dub mixes of many of the tunes. They never really came out more than in the UK because it was just because of that odd chart situation at the time.
That is such a great thing when you describe that the story of how the song's life, if you will, would be extended by right as the peak of the song was starting to disappear. You're saying, if I get this right, they would throw that 12-inch on. It would be like throwing on logs on the fire, if you will.
That's right, and it could be either as the song was peaking or, if it was starting to generate momentum and was starting to get up into the top 10, then bringing out a 12-inch single, then that might be enough to bump it and send it into the top 3 instead of the top 5 or something like that. I mean, it all sounds a bit silly nowadays, doesn't it? But the whole record company thing, that's what it lived on, chart positions.
Oh, totally. And it was a really big deal for a very, very long time. It wasn't until quite recently that things changed to the point where it sounds like we're talking about a prehistoric creature from another...
I know. Well, I think the internet and the massive choice of music now that people have got means that, and I suppose the demise in many respects of the traditional record company model,
right.
There isn't that same full force mass marketing of everything now. So people have got a lot more ability to find out the things they like themselves by Googling around and searching around. They start to find their own music, and then other things get recommended. If you like this, you might like this. I'm always fascinated with watching my kids. They might start off listening to a song that's pretty current, and by linking from one song to a next song to a next song, a couple of hours later, they're listening to something like really avant-garde.
Is that Pandora that they're using?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. But I kind of prefer it in a way, although I suppose apart from in a very certain small sort of market of teen young acts, there probably won't be as many superstars created.
That's right.
And, because they won't have that consistent mass marketing that just elevates somebody's reputation. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Although much better, I think, I suppose, that people find out their own music that they like and follow their own nose and just go with that with passion and see where it leads, rather than being told every week which record to buy by desperate record company type. So in the long run, it might be good. However, you could miss some days of it, of course. We all used to complain about the record companies until everybody disappears and there's nobody there to give you $250,000 to go in the studio and fool about. So they definitely had their uses. I do miss them sometimes.
Well, they certainly had to be instrumental in the beginning. It's funny as you say that, I can't help but think of one of the expenses, literally, that was always, it became a bigger part of music, and certainly during a big portion of your career was the whole video thing. And one of your classic songs from the earliest of your professional career has a great video, Mirror in the Bathroom. Take us back to that one. Is there some element too about how that was produced to try to help get the material out?
Well, as you say, the video had really just kicked off, and we'd only just signed a record deal, and there weren't even a lot of people doing it in England at the time. There were some in London, but a girl that we were at college with, junior college, had said that she'd started doing it, and then we'd always liked her. She'd always had a great turn of phrase, and we'd shared English class, I think, and Juliet McCohen. And I think we managed to get away with it by sort of acting all Birmingham provincial about it and not wanting to come down to London and do it with some city slicker we didn't know. No, we want to do it here at home. And they fell for it, really, which was good. And it made a very a grainy kind of quality to it. It wasn't trying to be like a TV commercial or something. It was trying to express some of the dissonance and shock and horror of the song.